Fig fam, it's Saturday. Figs and coffee. I love this mug. Check it out. Positive energy. I have a lot of cuttings to get through, and I got some really awesome trays. And so I want you guys to kind of join me on what I do on a typical morning here at my fig tree nursery. It's a beautiful, awesome, warm day. I have a few dilemmas that I can go over with you, including the buds breaking, some of my figs. Look at that. A Braba Celeste. And how I'm going to manage that here and how my cuttings, plants, and other gardening strategies are going. But first off, I have a lot of cuttings to get through. I am just about out of cuttings for sale this year. And I was telling some of you all that I probably am going to cut it off at March 1st, and the rest of the cuttings are going to go towards my propagation process. I have a lot. If you look here, this Bordeaux Negra Ramada, that took 1 month. 1 month, guys. Patience is key, and with the patience is consistency. So consistency carries through. Finding that Goldilocks zone for your figs will pay itself off tenfold. Sometimes that takes years. It may not be the answer you want to hear. I know we all want to expedite it, and you can. There's some strategies to do that. But if it's not the right environment, you try to go for something that doesn't work out, it's a scientific experiment, it's all good. Roll with it. It is 60 in the greenhouse. That's what I set it to at night. It is a beautiful sunny day. I have a feeling if it's going to be in the 60s in the day here, it will be in the 80s in this greenhouse, easy. And what I have going on is some new trays for you guys. And I want to go over those trays with you. I want to go over what I am using in those trays and how I'm propagating big bag of figs. Now, before we get started, it's a beautiful day in February here. We get 60s and even low 70-degree days throughout February, but we still get freezes at night. We still have our 40-degree days that come abruptly because some of that cold weather is dictated by the jet stream. And if that jet stream takes a dip, it brings cold Arctic air down to our subtropical coastal region, and then I have to move all my plants inside. Now, with this capricious weather, we have our warm days. When it's warm, and the sun's not as quite as high in the sky, I like to move my figs outside. This is called the fig shuffle. Get them acclimated to full sun weather because greenhouse light is not as strong as full sun. And so if you move them out too quickly, it can stress them, it can kill them. You will get some sort of sunburn on your leaves. Introducing them to light gradually helps relieve that shock if you're growing things inside, in a greenhouse, in a shaded space. So I'm going to move the fig trees that I have growing in here that have woken up, and they're in my 3-gallon pots. I've been putting them outside during the day in this lower light. I got a Socorro Black here, I got Ponte Tresa, and I'm just lining them up. Violet Sapor, and then look at this one right here. This is LSU Champagne. And we're just putting them outside here. And this also opens up a lot of space for me to work in the greenhouse because I got pretty broad shoulders. I'm a pretty fit guy. So when I jam things full, I don't have a lot of space to work with. And obviously I start knocking stuff over. So give them some sun, especially in the morning when the sun's not that intense. And it's getting easier and easier every day as the days get longer and the weather gets warmer to heat my greenhouse. So it's been staying warmer and warmer in the greenhouse. And this allows me a lot of space so I can do my round 2s and round 3s of fig cuttings. And so I'm misting them because I don't want this too wet in here, especially when they're still young and still trying to produce roots. Because if it just gets too wet in there, there's too much standing water. There's too much moisture. This little bit of water will trickle down. Some of it will evaporate up. And the humidity that I'm putting on top of these encourages this leaf growth here. Now, a lot of these had a slow start because I didn't have them on the heating mats before. And there's such a stark contrast from my observations of just, even if it gets into the 70s here, if it gets down to the 50s at night in the greenhouse, the heat mat will still stay warm and still encourage that root development that I did not see without the heat mat, and it just took way longer. So I'm immediately seeing results in the back here on some of these newer cuttings. These are all narrower cuttings and that are still viable. So For example, you see this Peter's honey? It's a totally viable cutting. It's in a 3x8 Stew and Sons, and it's putting out leaf growth now. If you look down here, you can see it's pretty dry down here. I know there's moisture in here just from my years of experience. So that's how dry I kind of keep it. But that's what I've learned at the Stew and Sons. And so what I've learned from a few others is, and I'm going to get into these new trays today, each tray I use has a little bit different of a rooting strategy. They're similar, but different. So I'm just missing all the cuttings, missing the baby figs. And frankly, I need more heat mats. But I think I'm maxing out my space on my splitter here. So guys, this is my secret batch of cuttings, and this is I call it high ticket. These are the ones I've saved for myself that for whatever reason, I didn't sell this over the winter. And I do need a batch for myself to root my own figs for the trees for next year. And I don't mind because I love this process. A lot of these figs have been in the fridge for at least 2 months. And what I like to do is A, get them organized. B, if they've sat in the fridge, I have them with the parafilm wrapped in the tips. And then I also have the saran wrap wrapped around them. Those two factors make a world of difference for storage. If I'm in a rush, I'll store them without anything, and you can already see the difference. These are Celestes. And when I have cuttings like that don't seem as viable, you can already see they're shriveling, they're brown on the ends. What I do, this is a really important note if you have cuttings in your fridge for a while, is I will snip off that old wood until I see that green ring, and that's a good sign that it's still alive and well underneath. And then I am soaking them in this water. So I go to about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch above the last bud, and if I'm on the bottom, I go right up to the bottom of that node where I start seeing those rooting nodes and rooting lenticles. And that is how I prep the cuttings that have sat in my fridge for a while. They look really good. This looks like 2-year-old wood. I soak them in room temperature water, and this wakes them up from their slumber in the fridge. Really simple. All right, see how they're kind of thin? These will do great. See that nice green ring there? That's what you want to see. See how it's brown on top there? It's not what you want to see. Now, I don't care as much about the top. Look at in the fridge, the notes started bumping out on this thing. Even in the fridge, they wanted to wake up. Look at this one. This one's about 1/4 inch. That will turn into a great fig tree. This one is about less than 1/4 inch. Not quite 1/8. Oh my gosh, am I going to say 3/16? Gosh, I'm such a nerd. All right. See the little lenticles there? You can see it's lignified wood. You see the cambium layer underneath? It's viable cutting, guys. I go right up to the bottom of the node there. It's a great cut. Don't move too fast. Don't move too slow. There's a famous fountain in Rome of a boy pushing a turtle. And it was on our tour, and the theme of the fountain was hurry up but slowly. And how I interpreted that is intentional movements in a careful manner. Don't think about what you're going to do. Do it, but do it thoughtfully. I'm glad I'm doing this now because they've been sitting in my fridge for a while. The only one happier than me is my family. Getting their crisper drawer back, maybe. This won't do it, but this will make a dent. Nice green ring there. It's great cutting. That's all you need. And see how I scored the bark there? That'll be great. You'll see roots form there. And a good way to hedge yourself with this is rooting hormone, this Clonex stuff, rooting gel. I just dip it. I just got a 2-pack for a discount on Amazon. All right, let's let these rest for a little bit. Okay. check out these seed trays. About 5 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches in this space. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 28 cuttings in this package here. What do we think? I'm excited. Let's do it. So I have 28 cells in that tray. I don't know if you guys can hear the birds. The birds are out and about. There's woodpeckers, cardinals, bluebirds, and then we're near the ocean, so there's kingfishers, ospreys, we have redwings, redtails, cooperhawks. They're all in my thicket. I let these soak, and now I'm gonna let them dry off a little bit. I'm using my labels. I'll do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12. Right. What I really want to talk about today with these cuttings is what you can propagate in. I've covered propagating in just play sand. I've covered propagating into potting soil. I've covered propagating into my favorite mix, which is the coconut coir perlite mix, which I am going to upgrade with mycorrhizae. But my friend Destin, shout out to you, connected me with Jen, and she and her husband are with All About the Garden, and they're in Brennan, Texas. They had these trays that blew my brain. And so I said, I need some of those trays. They look really fun. They're like, you have to try these. We're sending you some. If you guys are curious, they are in Brenham, Texas. Reach out to allaboutthegarden.com. This is their logo. And I am potting with their trays today in this small space, 7 by 4, that's 28 fig cuttings, in probably a 9 by 14 inch tray. They are very sturdy. I don't know if you guys can see this, but if I flip this over, that is huge. Look at the size of the holes here. The only thing more important than a good mix is good drainage with fig cuttings, and having this 1 inch diameter circle at the bottom is huge for that. I'm going to put these on my shelves. The reason I love these so much is that I'm in a relatively tight space. So finding trays that I could be successful with, because I'm ultimately going to up pot these in the potting mix anyway. I have a link in my profile to these trays. If you're growing indoors, you can fit them nicely into a bin, like a plastic storage bin to maintain humidity. I have them in my greenhouse. And for all of us that grow fig cuttings, typically we're at-home gardeners that have tight spaces. It's wintertime. We're inside in smaller greenhouses. I'm on this journey of doing a backyard nursery. And so anything that can be more efficient to my space and time means the world to me. So thank you to you guys for sending these to me, and I really appreciate connecting with you, and I appreciate you. So I want to show you how I'm rooting in these trays. We're going to go over the mix, and I have my 28 cuttings here that are all Celeste, and then we're going to put them on a heat mat. And I'll show you how much space this saves me. It's great. See how I dig in here? It's loose, it's not clumpy, but this is wet in a good way. It's moist. Again, this is coconut coir. You're looking at about 60% coir, 40% perlite, upwards of 50-50. It's because it's all eyeballed. But I'd like to have just a little bit more coir because it... But for now, I'm going to put this mix in these seed trays. Just like that. Again. A fig cutting. So I go ahead, I'm going to make holes in here. I've pressed down the soil a little bit. And the reason I am dibbling is because I'm going to add rooting hormone to these, and I just don't want it to get scraped off. Again, we don't have to add rooting hormone to fig cuttings. They come with their own hormones. It's just a hedging tool. I have made a nice tray of fig cuttings. Let's take a look. Ready? Ooh, okay. You can see here I have these plastic bins with my 4x9s, and I kind of want to start rooting these 4x9s with potting mix so they can just live in them till I sell them. These will be up potted, and these are Stu and Sons 3x8s. A little tighter, great tight space. And now we're gonna be using these. And then I'll be making space on these heat mats here and here for the success of these cuttings. Do I push the limits of my fig cuttings? You know it. Is it worth it? Yes, right? Discovering better ways to grow figs. I've dibbled, and I got the soil here. I've got my Clonex. And here comes the fun part, scoring the bark a little bit. Ooh, that's gelatinous. Let's put it here, and I push down. Get it nice and snug, right? Quick dip. Key is quick, guys. Quick score, dip. And I want to plow through these because I have to go to the post office and mail out some figs to you guys. Parafilm on top. That just keeps in the moisture. This parafilm is way better than grafting tape because this parafilm stretches and decays as the plant grows, and it decays as it's exposed to UV rays. So once it roots, you can just keep it on there and eventually breaks down on its own. It is very user-friendly. It's really great at retaining moisture, so I let these dry a little bit after soaking before I immediately wrap them. They will do just fine if you don't soak them, or like once the cuttings dry. This will do just fine on its own. You don't need to try to trap any moisture in there that you've added in that short time of soaking your cuttings. And frankly, soaking your cuttings is another hedging tool. This looks so freaking good. And I kind of just want to get them flush with the top here. So when I do water it, it gets watered evenly throughout. The water is going to settle this all out too. And I think, you know, this is a huge part of gardening for me. I'm a tactile person. This is very grounding for me to garden. I think it's just naturally in my blood to want to have my hands in the dirt. But coming out here, this is a very peaceful space for me. Hearing the birds, hearing the wind in the trees, feeling the warmth of the sun, seeing things come to life. So I love sharing that with all of you. As simple as that, a nice pack of Celeste cuttings. Before I put the labels in, let's give her a quick rinse, huh? Beautiful day at the nursery, guys. Look how compact this tray is. I can't get over that. Wonderful. I have mine on my hose on shower, so I don't overwhelm this whole thing. It helps it all settle in at first. Some control over this setting. That looks really good. I'm not gonna lie. I like using coir because it's a little more hydrophilic right off the bat. You can see it already settling down. I think we're ready to go put it on the shelf. All right, Fig Fam. It is a beautiful sunny day. So I have to make some space somehow, and I think I'm gonna do it like this. Everyone gets shifted to maximize more space. And that seems to fit the bill. All right. These leaves that aren't getting exposed, I'll have to rotate them. But for now, I have this awesome, beautiful tray of cuttings, everyone, right here on the heat mat. So you guys got a chance to see me do some fig cutting, propagation, hear my thoughts about it all, and check out these new trays that I'm working with on trying to do dense propagation. So I'm trying to get as many figs in one space as I can and successfully propagate them. If you guys like this video, subscribe, like, reach out with questions, reach out with your own personal thoughts and feedback. This is a community, the fig community. So all right, take care, Fig Fam. Thanks.